In this video we're going to check the Salisbury axle to see if it warped during welding. This is part 3. So, whenever you're doing welding, it's very important to do a tack weld on the opposite side where you want to weld. Now, using these two bars, which we're going to be using later, we can say that if you wanted to do a weld on this top edge, you don't just go gung-ho and weld right across the top straight away, because otherwise it'll twist and go like it'll contract and pull this piece out of square. Then you end up hammering it, and that's not good. So at the bottom side here, if you put a little tack weld right in the middle and then started to weld on the top side, it will keep it straight. Now, of course, when we were welding this axle up, we couldn't really see if it was warped or not, and that's where these bars come in, because these parallel bars, donated by Olga Corbett, that famous gymnast, they're nice and square. They're straight, there's no air gaps between them like this, you know, to show that they're twisted. So these are going to be our guides, and we're going to exaggerate the flanges by clamping these on the end and measuring it up and see how far it's out. Hopefully it's acceptable, but if it isn't, well, we've got a few tricks up our sleeve. Now, before I fit these bars, I'm just going to clamp them on with some, clamps there, nothing fancy. I took the stub axles off, and on this end I was kind of concerned because there was metal particles in there. That's not good. So where have they come from? It might mean once I've got all this lot sorted out, I'll strip the diff out, take it to bits and clean it. But there's something to be careful of. Just check everything. So you can see what I've done here. I've marked the centre of the tube, this tube here, against the centre line of here, and did the same at the other end. And what we're doing is we're just exaggerating the flange distance, like from here to here, because we'll never measure over there. We won't be able to get a tape measure from one end to the other. So we come out, and because we know these are straight and parallel, well, they're straight, but we don't know if they're parallel, this will give us an indication if this axle's bent, or that tube's bent, because I suspect it is. The thing is that this is the direction. See, I welded on the top of here, so I expect it's contracted and pulled this side tighter than this side. I don't know, it's just a guess, but that's really how you do it. That's why I took the camera off. You can step back and you can see how far out we are. Now, obviously, a bit of mathematics is involved if you want to find out how far the flanges are out, but that's what we're going to do. Right, here goes. Metric today, special treat. So this end here is 141.1, and this end here is 140.2. So that means this is narrower at this end and wider at this end. Now, this is going to be, so there's an 8mm difference between the top and the bottom. That's exaggerated over a length of 40, well, what's that, isn't it? It's about 46 centimetres. If you come closer in just as an experiment, let's start on this end first. Because the diff gets in the way, you see, you can't really do it. So this would here be 141. This one here, well, that's interesting, isn't it? This would be 140.8. So it's not that far out. It's not that far out, but it's out. Now, am I going to test it the other way? Well, there's no point really, because it's twisted. So I think what's happened is this has remained rigid, this one here, because it's very small. But this one, because of the weld at the top, and it's a longer tube, it's pulled in a bit. It's not the end of the world. What we're going to do is we're going to use science again. Yesterday I went down the shop, the gas welding shop, and I bought myself a bottle of oxygen. Now this bottle of oxygen is kind of small, but it's handy because you can carry it around with you. But nowadays here in Quebec we can buy our own small bottles outright. This is great because there's no rental. Now on the rental of my big argon CO2 bottle for MIG welding, the rental is $175 a year, and it's, well, I don't know, it's over $230 just to fill it up. This thing here was $130 to buy, and by the time you paid the gas refill plus you paid for the taxes, it came out at $517. But to me it's worth it because I don't really need the oxygen. I only need it for cutting, heating, bits and pieces like that. I've never welded with gas for a long time. And as you can see there, I've got it hooked up with a propane bottle as well to my burning torch on the floor. Propane burns just a little cooler than acetylene, but I never use it for welding. I never use it. I just use it for heating and cutting, so you can save a fortune. I mean, you can see how old that bottle is. Adam used it last, I think. Anyway, what we're going to do when we go back to this axle here, we're going to heat the underside here. We're going to heat this bit, and then we're going to quench it. By doing that, hopefully it will quench the other way and pull that round so it's parallel. Now remember, because we're 8mm out at the extremity, so we only want to pull it 4mm. Now that ain't much at all. But remember, that's at the extremities, so by the time we get to the flanges, we may be only taking 1mm. It's not much. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to get a bucket of water ready, and I'm only going to do this a little bit at a time, and we'll measure it, and then we'll understand how much we're going to contract that tube. I don't know if it's going to work, it might do. I've done this before on tubes before, and bent tubes. I've specifically bent tubes before like this. I'll tell you more about that later, but let's get set up for that. Right, here goes. I've just cleaned up my nozzle because it was all corroded up because it was being stood for years and years. What we're going to do is I've got a bucket of water down here, and we're just going to heat this tube at the back here. So, and then we'll measure it because we're a bit blind at the moment because we don't know what where we're splodging. So we'll just do a little bit. There we go. Like I say, we're just going to heat this bit up. It is a messy job. Now, we should have written down what the measurements were before. 141.2. $140.2. So wait a minute, we want a bit more. So we're back onto the same thing, 0.2, so that's 140.3, sorry. It's hardly moved. Do a bit more. It's like your complete failure. Doesn't matter. hotter this time. Right, let's try that. I wish I'd changed my boots. These are old, see if that's changed anything. One 40.8. Oh, 140. Wait a minute, let me get this right. 140.8. Great success. Just takes a bit of patience and a bit of science, innit? Like Magnus Pike would blind them with science. That's good, that's the result. So we straighten it out. I'm going to double check that now by putting my thumb against the end of here. And moving it again. Perfect. We only do perfection here. So that can show you just how you can rectify a problem if you've been welding an axle or you've got a bent axle. You can keep doing this over and over again and getting those flanges to go. Let me get the camera. So originally it was like that, so now we've pulled it. Oh, wait a minute, it's tight at the top, that's right. So it was tight at the top. So what we've done is we've pulled it in and contracted underneath and pulled them square again. Saved a fortune, hasn't it?